Today we're going to be talking about why I believe the New Orleans Saints are a true Super Bowl contender. It's only been 2 weeks, don't get me wrong. I'm not overreacting too much, but what I've seen from the Saints and what I expect to see moving forward is absolute greatness. So first and foremost, the Saints had 134 yards before contact against the Dallas Cowboys, and the reason they did it was because of their new scheme. West Coast and Clint Kubiak, similar to what Mike LaFleur runs in Green Bay, Kevin O'Connell runs with the Vikings, Sean McVay with the Rams, and then of course you've got Kyle Shanahan with the 49ers. So you have all of these offenses that love to motion at or before the snap. They love to run towards the bubble, set the tight end to one place, and then of course double up front. When you motion a guy, all of a sudden the second level, those linebackers are out of position and you're double teaming up front, so the guys aren't going to be able to make much of an impact. And that's why we saw Kamara essentially just be untouched very often in this game. I mean, Kamara, he did have that long touchdown catch on a screen, but he also ran all over the Cowboys. And Kubiak deserves a lot of credit because he has completely changed the Saints around. The Saints were good last year. They ended the season with some big time wins. They beat the Bucks. They beat the Falcons, blew them out 48-17. They beat the Giants, Panthers, and then they lost by one score to the Rams. So they went into this season with a lot of confidence. But really what the biggest story for the Saints has been is Kubiak and how he's utilized and gave Derek Carr confidence. So Carr going into a second season with the Saints, now he has more control at the line of scrimmage. He doesn't feel like he's under a lot of pressure because he knows he's got a great play caller. He knows that he has the freedom to do whatever he wants. And just as important as Kubiak is the Saints offensive line. I mean, two players up front for the guards for the Saints made PFF's all week team, and the Saints offensive line, it's kept Carr protected for these first 2 weeks, and we're starting to see Carr with protection be able to exploit defenses in their coverage, and Rashid Shaheed has benefited the most off of this extended time. He has gotten open deep very often, and this Saints offense looks dangerous with Shaheed's deep threat ability. You've got Chris Olave who can work all three levels of the field, Alvin Kamara, and then Derek Carr, again, when he's locked in, he's one of the better quarterbacks in football. I mean, he's had a monster season. I don't remember if I think he was 5,000 yards? I don't know if it was 5,000 yards. Derek Carr stats. Let's pull that season up because I know Carr had a big time year. Okay, so yeah. So he threw for 4,804 yards in 2021. I mean, 4,000 yards is a lot of yards. 4,804 is insane. I mean, Carr also had 23 touchdowns in that year. So we know Derek Carr is capable of greatness because we've seen it with our own eyes. But now we're starting to see a confident Carr, the best version of him with weapons, with protection, with an elite defense. That's one thing you can say about the Saints every year is their defense always comes to play. But my confusion is ESPN ranking the Saints ninth right now in their power rankings. They had them at 23 the week before. So 23-9 is an insane jump. You just don't see that ever in power rankings. But the Saints did it. And teams ahead of them, the Los Angeles Chargers, which I cover the Chargers for work. The Chargers are not better than the Saints. I can tell you that right now. They're a good team. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, the Bucs did win a playoff game last year. They won the division. They're 2-0. So I think that's fair. Have I been more impressed with the Saints? Yes, but that's fine. Eagles at 6 is ridiculous. That is absurd. It's disgusting. Detroit Lions, I mean, like, no, this is like we're using last year too much, right? And then also I just don't like that. The Texans I'm fine with, 49ers I'm fine with, Bills I'm fine with, and Chiefs I'm fine with, right? So essentially the Saints should be a top 5 team right now in my opinion in power rankings. And if we're going off of just this season, I'd put them number 1. I mean, the Saints on both sides of the ball have looked electric, and I feel like their offense is only going to grow. It's only going to get better. And another reason why the Saints offense is so electric right now is because of the play action passing. So last season, the Saints ran play action on 14.4% of the time. So that was their rate. That was 32nd, unsurprisingly, in football. This season, 52.3%, which is first. So all of a sudden, you're running the ball so well, teams have to step up and play the run because if they don't, the Saints will just keep running it. They don't care about Carr's statistics. They want to win games. So teams, they're basically cheating the run. All of a sudden, it's a play action, and here's Chris Olave working one-on-one across the middle of the field. Here's Rashid Shaheed playing deep. And even if there's help, Shaheed is so fast that you just don't even have a chance if Carr has time to throw. Like that play, what was it, the second drive for the Saints? I mean, they just scored so quickly. I mean, they were averaging 18 yards per play at one point. It was insane. And like the safety helped too. It's just late to get to Shaheed because he's so fast and he's a much improved route runner, very underrated route runner. He's only gotten better at it. I mean, this Saints offense, from what we saw against the Dallas Cowboys, this is what they've been dreaming to run. And I don't know if there's a defense in the NFL that's going to be able to stop it right now because of how much time Carr has, because of the run game, and everyone's healthy. Taysom Hill was a guy who also got in on the fun, and we saw him on a design wildcat run. Of course, we saw him run a slant, and number 2, Lewis, who I believe is a safety for the Cowboys, got pass interference, and we saw week 1, Hill nearly had a touchdown, one-on-one, had a chance, just couldn't reel it in. So the Saints have all these weapons. Their offensive line came into the start of the season, according to PFF, ranked number 31st in football, and it is completely proven that wrong. I mean, I'm looking at the tackles for the Saints, and Talise Fuaga, who made his debut, was dynamic. Trevor Penning, you're talking about going up against Micah Parsons and containing him. The Saints did a good job of that. A lot of it was just avoiding him completely, going to the other side, but still they held their own. And then the interior for the Saints, Lucas Patrick, Eric McCoy were as good as it gets in week 2. So if you're a Saints fan, you've got to be feeling very good. I hate how people are not giving them the respect they deserve. People are still going to pick the Bucks. People still are saying the Falcons have a chance. I get it's early, but I don't look at the Saints as this wild card, like dark horse type of team. I look at the Saints as a legit Super Bowl contender because, again, look at what we've seen so far. Teams are struggling to pass. Their offenses just aren't very efficient. Patrick Mahomes has struggled. I mean, Mahomes through 2 weeks has a lower passer rating than Justin Fields. And I'm not even disrespecting Justin Fields because I love him as a player and as a person, but it just goes to show like teams are struggling. Like these teams that we're ranking above the Saints, like they haven't had the best performances. The Saints had 2 dominant wins. Their win over the Cowboys was the most impressive, in my opinion, in all of week 2. And moving forward for the Saints, their schedule is the easiest in football. So in week 3, let me pull up their 2024 schedule. So week 3, they're taking on the Eagles at home. They're going to win that game. At Atlanta, at Kansas City, versus Tampa Bay, versus Denver, at Los Angeles, at North Carolina Panthers, versus Falcons, versus Cleveland, Rams, Giants, Commanders, Packers, Raiders, Bucks. Very, very easy schedule. Yeah, there's some solid teams in there, but I mean, we could be talking about the Saints winning 12 or 13 games this year, and if they have home field in the NFC with that defense and Carr being confident, those weapons, an elite offensive coordinator, I mean, good luck. Like, good luck. The Saints are the team right now that I'd want to play the least in football. And I'm not even exaggerating. I watch every single game. I watch football every single day. I've been most impressed with the Saints, and you can only play who's in front of you. And again, 97% of these experts pick the Cowboys to beat the Saints. And I remember the day before the game looking at the stats, looking at the analytics, and saying, well, the Cowboys didn't even play that good against the Browns. And they won because the Browns aren't that good of a team. But I said if they play like that against the Saints, they have no chance. And the Saints, what do? They blow out the Cowboys. The game wasn't even remotely competitive. So, man, who dat? Let's go. I mean, I hate you guys because you beat my Colts in the Super Bowl. But outside of that, I always have loved the Saints. Peace.